Hello, my name is Helena Đurić and today I will be presenting a UX design concept for a vocabulary building application named iLingo. So why even make a vocabulary building application? In order to answer that question, meet Matthew. Matthew is 35 years old. He just moved to Munich, Germany with his girlfriend and their dog. He has a new and exciting job as a front-end developer. And although he speaks English on his job, since he moved to Germany, he would love to speak German language so he can communicate with people around him better and without any fear. And what is Matthew like as a person? Well, as you can see, Matthew is smiling. He's pretty easygoing and loves to relax. You can say overall he enjoys life. He likes to travel, to meet new people, hang out with friends, and on his private and spare time, he likes riding a bike and hiking. So the first step was to examine the project brief. The project brief stated, we need to make a mobile application that would empower people to learn new vocabulary. The lessons in that application should be short, between 5 to 10 minutes, so people can, at any place when they have 5 to 10 minutes, learn new vocabulary. So after examining the project brief, I did a little bit of a research on my own. I did a competitive analysis of 3 vocabulary applications that I could find on the market. I wanted to see what were the positive and the negative sides of those applications and get a little bit of a personal feel what it's like to use a vocabulary building application. So after a competitive analysis, I did user research and I conducted 3 user research interviews. Those interviews were with people who are trying to learn new language. I wanted to get a little bit of an insight. What do people think? What challenges do they face when they are using a vocabulary building applications or trying to learn a new vocabulary? So what were the challenges that Matthew would face? So Matthew is motivated to learn German language, but of course he doesn't understand the meaning of German words. So he needs his application to translate the words from German to his native language in a correct manner. And he found out that some of the application got the meaning of the words wrong, which can be difficult when you're trying to learn a new vocabulary. Also, Matthew doesn't have much time to learn new vocabulary and new language. Also, he figured out that if he doesn't often use the words or doesn't repeat them that much, he tends to forget those words. And since Matthew is a little bit of a tech savvy, he likes his applications to be visually appealing. And some of the applications out there are not so visually appealing and not very user-friendly. So, based on the challenges Matthew would face, we have to find a solution. So we can say, we believe that by building an interesting, fun, interactive, and visually appealing application to learn new vocabulary and new language, we can achieve that Matthew learns German and eventually even passes his B2 exam. So after this, I headed to the phase of wireframing and prototyping, which for me, I have to say, was very challenging. I created 2 user flows based on the 2 tasks Matthew would have to do in order to even use the application. So the first was after downloading, start using the application, and the other one was complete 1 lesson. After I sketched the user flows, I sketched the wireframes for this application. And here are the wireframes. They are not the greatest work of art, but they did their job well. After sketching the wireframes, I made a prototype in Marvel. I used the prototype for my usability testings. I did 3 usability testings, and in those usability testings, I've created 5 direct and scenario tests for my users to go through. Them going through those tests made me see what was the way they used the application, what was some of the challenges and problems they faced while using my application. And here are the things I improved and improvements that were made based on the usability testing. So first thing was that I had a task that I wanted my users to check their daily progress. And during the usability testing, I realized they couldn't do that because there was no daily progress button available or even anywhere on the screen. So I made sure there was one. Also, some of my users said they would like to have a skip button on the intro, so they can maybe skip the intro if they don't have much time and then get back to it later. So I added a skip button. And also I realized I made a pretty big mistake. I ranked it 4 on Jacob Nielsen's scale, and that was the fact that I didn't have a back button. So yes, those things can happen too, but I made sure to improve that. So after doing the usability testings and improving my application, what are the next steps? So the next steps would be to create high fidelity prototypes, to do more usability testing so I can see how people and users use my application, and hopefully develop the application. So building this application was a fun process for me. What have I learned? The user's point of view is very important in the design process, and the user's point of view and the designer's point of view don't have to be the same or even similar at some points, and that is something to keep in mind when designing a product. User research and usability testings are absolutely very important part of the design process and probably should be done more than once. I also discovered that I love doing user research and interviews and usability testings, and that I'm pretty good at that. I also discovered that there are some areas I should probably improve and work on more, like technical aspects, wireframing, and prototyping. I learned that making a big design mistakes can be a little bit frustrating, like when a user tells you, but there is no back button, and you think, how is that possible? But that should be embraced as an opportunity to improve oneself. And finally, I learned that believing in yourself, don't be too hard on yourself, remember to have fun, and the rest will just follow. Thank you so much for your attention.